There are only 3 weeks left till the final shape arrives, and if you're a new or returning player, it can be seriously daunting trying to figure out which god rolls or red border patterns to farm. There's limited time left till the final shape release, and I'm sure your time is precious as well, so I really wanted to trim down my recommendations to the absolute essentials. These are weapons that dominate the PvE scene yet are still easy enough to obtain currently. So in this video, I've managed to cut out all the BS and condense the list down to just 10 legendary weapons that I have by my side at all times that will cut through any PvE content in Final Shape, whether that's the normal or legend campaign or even the day 1 raid. I'll list my personal god rolls for each of the weapons and some viable alternatives as well, and the sources where you can obtain them all from. Rather than splitting the list by a primary, special, or heavy weapon type, it's actually much more useful to split the list into these 3 categories: add clear weapons, anti-major or champion weapons, and then finally DPS weapons. If you pick one weapon from each category, you should have most encounters covered. Some of the weapons can perform multiple tasks, and I'll highlight those in particular. Starting off with add clear weapons. The key to add clear weapons is that they need to have incredible AoE potential. The first weapon here on the list is Zauli's Bane, the solar energy hand cannon. Hand cannons have progressively gotten a series of buffs over the past couple of years and are now powerhouses in terms of add clear, as they can take out most minor enemies with one headshot. The god roll with explosive payload and incandescent is particularly good because incandescent causes mini explosions with spread scorch, and with enough scorch stacks you can then cause bigger ignitions. Remember, Zauli's Bane is craftable, and so the perks are enhanceable, and enhanced incandescent is even better because you need less kills to trigger that ignition. Explosive payload increases overall damage in PvE by 15%, which means it's going to be great against stronger enemies like mages as well. This weapon is obtainable from the King's Fall raid, though you can easily obtain patterns and even the harrowed version from the Pantheon raid, which is more than good enough if you don't want to farm 5 red border patterns. The second weapon is perhaps one of the best add clear weapons to ever exist in Destiny, and that's the Arc Waveframe Launcher for Barents. What makes Forbearance such a powerhouse is its synergy with its perk Chain Reaction. You fire one shot and it creates a shockwave which kills enemies in its path, and then enemies that die explode thanks to Chain Reaction. The first column also has a few viable options. The traditional god roll includes Ambitious Assassin, allowing you to overfill the magazine, meaning you need to reload less. The weapon is also craftable, and originally it was obtainable from the Vow of the Disciple raid, but what's great for returning players is that there is a slightly different version available from the Onslaught activity, which will be enhanceable come Final Shape. The Onslaught version can also roll with Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction, but it can also roll with Demolitionist in that first column, which is incredible for any grenade-focused build, especially paired with its origin trait, Indomitability, which gives even more grenade energy on top. The OG version does have Soul Drinker as its origin trait instead, which heals you based on the number of hits before reloading, which is a lifesaver in harder content. So in my eyes, the older version still is worth farming. The final weapon in the add clear category is a bit more of a rogue choice, but it's the recently reprised Luna's Howl hand cannon, which is obtainable from Onslaught, and it has a god roll which is amazing for harder content, which is heal clip with incandescent. Incandescent, similar to Zauli's Bane, allows for those amazing explosions and ignitions for add clear, but heal clip is what sets this weapon really apart. Heal clip allows you to gain a whopping 120 HP after reloading following a kill, which is going to be incredible for more difficult content. Heal clip also has amazing synergy with any solar subclass thanks to Ember of Benevolence, allowing you to constantly have 400% increased ability regeneration, which will make any solar build an absolute powerhouse. Moving on to the anti-major or champion weapons. These need to hit hard to take out those tankier enemies, and ideally they should have some sort of damage or utility perk which allows them to excel within this role. Some of these weapons do double up to be great special weapon DPS options as well, which you can use in between a damage rotation or when you run out of heavy ammo. My first anti-major weapon is the Kinetic Sniper Rifle Supremacy, which is obtainable from the Last Wish raid, and it's craftable. Its god roll has one of the most sought after perks in PvE, Kinetic Tremors, which after just 2 hits with this sniper, releases a shockwave which damages enemies caught within it 3 times. Kinetic Tremors is amazing for boosting that damage output here. Rewind rounds then allows you to continue spamming the weapon a ridiculous number of times before you need to reload. All this combined with its rapid fire frame means you can dump out so many shots in a short frame of time, meaning it's a great weapon for DPS as well in terms of special weapon options. The next weapon on this list is the Strand Fusion Rifle Scattered Signal, which melts any stronger enemy and is also a special weapon powerhouse for DPS. The God Roll has Overflow, which allows the magazine to be overflowed up to a whopping 18 shots when enhanced, and Control Burst, which increases damage by 20% and decreases charge time by 10% for the next 2 seconds after hitting all your bolts in your previous shot. What this results in is 18 continuous hard-hitting fusion rifle shots that can annihilate tankier enemies like champions in harder content without reloading, and also pump out some serious damage against bosses. Scatter Signal is obtainable from the Season of the Wish vendor, and Bungie recently introduced a catch-up mechanic where you can obtain a daily red border weapon on a knockout system by playing the Coil or Raven's Lair. Now our next weapon is the Stasis Fusion Rifle Riptide. Unlike the first two weapons, Riptide has far more of a utility use case than pure damage. Its God Roll has Autoloading Holster and Chill Clip. Chill Clip recently got rebuffed again, so now it applies 40 stacks of slow per burst, so after 3 shots it will freeze an enemy, which is super useful against a stronger major or champion charging you down. Why Riptide is better than most other fusion rifles with Chill Clip is that it has Autoloading Holster, meaning you don't need to reload it, and it also is a rapid fire fusion, meaning those 3 shots that you need to freeze on an enemy can be dumped super fast. It's obtainable from Crucible engrams and has a massive perk pool, but this is one of those weapons that's well worth the grind. The final weapon from the list of anti-major weapons is Mountaintop. Mountaintop is a unique weapon in that it has a micro missile frame which fires a singular shot in a straight line, and it can also be used to propel yourself backwards for some cool movement tech. Mountaintop is farmable from the Onslaught activity, and its God Roll has Autoloading Holster and Recombination. Autoloading Holster means you never need to reload it, and Recombination boosts damage by a whopping 100% after 10 kills with other elemental weapons or abilities. So essentially, after using your add clear weapon, you can quickly switch to Mountaintop for a quick high damage shot and resume using your original weapon and keep repeating that. Now this is the one weapon where I will mention the barrel and magazine because they do boost the damage. You want hard launch in either one of implosion rounds or spike grenades in the magazine. Don't worry between spike or implosion, it's a very minimal damage increase. As long as you have hard launch, that's what matters. Mountaintop is farmable from Onslaught. We now move on to our final category, DPS weapons. The best DPS weapons do vary by boss encounter due to so many factors like the mechanics of the fight, the duration of the damage phase, and the critical hit multiplier that the boss has. But the 3 weapons I'm going to recommend here are going to be universally good for any encounter. The first weapon is Apex Predator. Now Apex Predator is appropriately named because it's the best legendary rocket launcher in the game, and it's obtainable from the Last Wish raid, and its God Roll has Reconstruction with Bait and Switch. Reconstruction allows it to auto reload and up to double the normal capacity, meaning you can fire 2 rockets without reloading, whilst Bait and Switch requires you to hit the boss with your other weapons first, gives it a whopping 30% damage buff for 10 seconds. Bait and Switch is often regarded as one of the best damage perks out there in the game, as you can activate it in all boss encounters pretty easily, unlike other perks like Surrounded, which are a bit more situational. Our second weapon in this category is Edge Transit, which was the once memed Void Grenade Launcher, and it's now actually the best DPS weapon in the game since grenade launchers recently got a buff. God Roll Envious Assassin with Bait and Switch allows the magazine to be overflowed to triple its normal size, so that's 21 grenade launcher shots in a row without reloading. And then Bait and Switch gives you that easy to access 30% damage buff. There are other very good rolls for Edge Transit as well. You could chase a Cascade variant, so you can dump your ammo faster and increase your DPS for shorter damage phases, or you can chase something like Deconstruct with sticky grenades, which can give you free shots from thin air. If you don't understand how that works, you can check out my video with the link above. But yeah, Deconstruct can be pretty useful when you need to be conservative with ammo. Again, Edge Transit is easily farmable from the Onslaught activity. Our final weapon on the list is basically the linear fusion rifle equivalent of Apex Predator. That's Cataclysmic. Cataclysmic is a solar linear fusion rifle, and why I'm recommending a linear fusion rifle is because certain bosses have very high critical hit multipliers. Its God Roll has 4 times the charm and Bait and Switch. 4 times the charm refunds 2 free ammo from thin air after hitting 4 precision hits, whilst Bait and Switch gives you that easily accessible 30% damage buff. Cataclysm is craftable, and you can obtain the red borders from the Vow of the Disciple raid. That was actually really hard to narrow it down to just 10 legendary weapons, and there are many weapons I would have liked to have included, but they just didn't make the cut for me personally. Let me know in the comments below if there's something I missed out on that is a non-negotiable in your arsenal. If you found this guide useful, remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for more Destiny guides as we get closer to final shape. I'm Mr. Ronit, and that's it for today. Peace out, guys.